Hello and welcome to this week's casting. I don't really know what else to call it. It is a podcast, I suppose, but the word cast it really just sits with me well in that this is something that I'm throwing out into the ether. And, one casts spells, and there are many witches, wizards, warlocks, magical people who in my community and around me. So I feel as though cast or casting is the best description for what I want to call this. So, anyway, sometimes casts go a little awry and you have to pull them back in, and I'm sure that I will probably have to rein myself in at some point because this is an unscripted sort of talk, I suppose, and a little bit of musings of my mind as I traverse this space and try to understand the world around me, the people around me, and the psychology of the group around me and where we're heading and what it all means and how to kind of get ahead of the game. But what I wanted to talk about in this particular casting was, where do you go when there is nowhere left to hide? Where do you go when there is nowhere left to hide? And I ask this question because the overarching theme that is reverberating through the crypto community, through the spiritual community, through not even any of those communities, even like just generally, people want to move away from where they currently are, and it's this ideology that the grass is always greener on the other side, and sometimes it is. I'm not saying that it is not. Again, I play the devil's advocate here. I think that is the biggest archetype that I play, and again, I open this up as a discussion, and I hope that this sparks some questions in your mind and gets you thinking about your stance on these sorts of things and your beliefs. And yeah, I just want to gently be the devil's advocate on this matter. But yeah, where do you run when there is nowhere left to hide? And as magicians, as spiritual practitioners, as people who are trying to escape the matrix, quote unquote, and have that true freedom, how do you operate in a place that will always and can always be touched by external influence, is kind of what I'm getting at here. No matter where you go on this planet, or even Mars or the moon, you are still confined to the laws of this reality, the laws of countries, the laws of other people, the limitations, variables. How do you operate as truly free in a closed circuit, essentially, is what I'm trying to ask. And I want to kind of bring this back to Hermeticism, magic, illusion, and understanding the illusion and casting your own illusions and being the master in that respect. And I kind of want to play to some archetypes that you may already know in understanding what I'm about to teach or maybe discuss, or I'm not sure what the word for what I'm going to do is, but the archetype or the story that I want to use as a metaphor is Harry Potter. And J.K. Rowling is a literary genius and also an alchemical master. She knows exactly what she is doing, and she knows exactly the stories, allegories that she is telling to her audience. And I want to kind of unpack, I suppose unpack is the better word. I want to unpack the message that she is actually trying to convey. And so back to my original question, what do you do when there is nowhere left to hide from any limitations that are put on you? And there are two particular scenes that I want to draw on. The first, and I will link them in the description, the link to the video, so that you can watch them yourself. But the first scene that I want to draw from is from the second Harry Potter, the Chamber of Secrets, and Harry and Ron are standing underneath the invisibility cloak in Hagrid's cabin, and they are bearing witness to a malevolent force taking over their school. They're watching the Minister of Magic and Lucius Malfoy come in and arrest Dumbledore while they are simultaneously trying to figure out what this more esoteric malevolent force is that is taking over their school. But at that point in time, they're watching more governmental restrictions being put on their headmaster. And in that scene, the Minister of Magic and Lucius Malfoy are, none the wiser to Harry and Ron being there. Hagrid knows that they're there, obviously. But the really interesting thing is, towards the end, when Dumbledore is being escorted out, he says almost arbitrarily, "Help will always be given to those at Hogwarts." Help will always be given at Hogwarts to those who ask for it, which kind of plays into the passage from Matthew 7:8, "Ask and it shall be given to you, seek and ye shall find, knock and it shall be opened unto you. For every one that asketh receiveth, and he that seeketh findeth, and to him that knocketh it shall be opened." And in saying that, he looks right through to Ron and Harry, and to their amazement, they feel seen. And even though they are cloaked in invisibility and that distortion, this benevolent man and this teacher, this wise man, sees them. Now, what the heck does this have to do with what do you do when there's nowhere left to hide? Well, this comes into the magical workings and the magical side of things in terms of our reality being an illusion and becoming a master of illusion and distortion yourself. And there are the strongest thing that we have is our beliefs, and this will gently bridge onto the next scene that I'm going to talk about. But our beliefs that we are safe, our belief that we will succeed, our belief that we are the best, the stronger that belief is, the more it becomes manifest. And when thinking about invisibility, there are many types of invisibility that you can invoke as a master of illusion and distortion. One of them can be that you believe that no one sees you, that you are cloaked completely from all outside influence, and you become almost like a shadow. Another belief about invisibility that you can have is that only the people who are meant to see you, only the people who are going to advance you for your best interest or are there for your growth will see you. And unfortunately, some people only believe that that means that only good people will see them. And that's not necessarily true, because sometimes we need pain to learn a lesson. But for the most part, depending on how strong your belief is, you can cloak yourself completely from malevolent forces. And just expanding more on that thought as I go along, thinking about Harry Potter in the 6th book, when Draco Malfoy saw all those fuzzy things in his ears and he knew that Harry was, underneath the cloak. And, that was a lesson, a painful lesson for Harry, but it led him to become friends with Luna Lovegood and all these other, and understand all these other bits of the story, pieces of the puzzle. So again, he was invisible to malevolent forces. However, this particular malevolent force, saw him, but it was for his own good in the long run. So just a bit of a tangent there in regards to only being seen by those who need to see you or who are for your own good. So, when thinking about invisibility, there are many ways in cloaking yourself and distorting the reality of others and their perception of you that you can use just through your belief. And just think about this when you see someone at the store that you don't want them to see you, and you start thinking they're not seeing me, and then they don't see you, or maybe they do but they don't say anything, which is pretty much the exact same as them not seeing you, because there's no interaction. You avoided that interaction, which I assume is why you were like, I hope they don't see me. So we do these invisibility spells all the time without even really realizing it, but it's not until it becomes a conscious habit that we really start to see the power of this illusion and this distortion of reality. And your belief in your ability of invisibility is the biggest driver, and then your reaction to that state of invisibility, again, a force may end up seeing you that you deem as being malevolent, but if you just take a step back and look at the bigger picture and look at the role that they're actually playing, they may be saving you some heartache later or teaching you a very valuable lesson, even though that you rendered yourself invisible to all things that hurt you. It really depends on your perspective of these things. So I just want to share a little ritual that I do sometimes, or I used to do a lot when I would go out, or if I was feeling a little bit overwhelmed, is a kind of a psychic self-defense, essentially, that uses the magic of water. And water is inherently magnetic in nature. And the lower the temperature the water is, the more magnetic it is, and the higher in temperature it is, the less magnetic it is. And if you think about yourself as being mostly water at approximately 36 degrees, one would understand that we are neutral. And being neutral in terms of our temperament and our ability of magnetism is actually very beneficial for many reasons, because we can both repel and magnetize things to us in that neutral position. So, just understanding the elemental makeup of water is very important for a lot of magical workings. But anyway, back to what I was saying. A ritual that I would do sometimes in the morning, in the shower, cold shower. The colder the water, the more magnetic it is, letting it run over my body, and I invoke or instill this belief that only those who are there for my betterment and were good for me and that I needed to see and who needed to see me would see me that day. And I'll tell you what, some days I was just completely untouchable. I would just glide through situations like butter. I would not be stopped. I would not be hassled by anyone. People almost wouldn't even look at me. And I would find that every interaction that I would have that day would be very meaningful, because I had already set that intention at the beginning of the day. And when you set the intention that only those who are meant to see you and that you're meant to see interact with you, well, that just flips all interactions into high gear, and you really start to appreciate the lessons or the communication or the interaction that you have with that person on a much more energetic level, and you really start to appreciate the experience that you have with that person because of those expectations that you set in the morning. So that is just one element of being able to distort the reality around you and to be able to maneuver within the environment that may seem unsavory or again, going back to that thought of where do you go when there is nowhere left to hide? Well, then you kind of have to hide in plain sight, but hiding in plain sight is illusion in of itself as well. Transparency has an element of illusions. Like if we think about politicians, they are transparent. They say they're transparent, but at the same time, there are many, many secrets that they hold. And, politicians is just a very generic archetype to demonstrate this. But transparency is not always transparent as you think it is. There is an opaqueness to it. There is an illusion to it. You are only seeing as much as you need to see. And the same goes for the universe. She only allows you to see as much as she wants you to see. And that's where our attention goes. So if we can magnetize the attention of those who are good for our path and who we want to surround ourselves with, well, you've just distorted other people's realities, essentially. So that's the first part of where do you hide when there is nowhere? Where do you go when there's nowhere left to hide? And the second video or part of Harry Potter that I want to bring up is the scene about the Felix Felicis, when Harry is trying to retrieve the information from Slughorn about the Horcruxes and to no avail until he realizes that he has this tiny vial of Felix Felicis. And he, Hermione and Ron are sitting in the common room and he takes it and all of a sudden he feels brilliant and inspired, and you can really see it on his face. And Hermione says, okay, well, this is the plan, and you have to go here. And Harry says, yeah, I've got a feeling. I've got a feeling that I need to go to Hagrid's. And when you follow the scene going forward, you realize that this hunch, this driving, invisible driving factor, this blind faith almost, that Felix Felicis, the liquid luck, which a lot of people attribute miracles to and spiritual phenomena to as luck or that sort of thing, is at the very core of receiving the message or getting to the end of the line. Sometimes our rational mind, which is Hermione, this is the plan and stick to the plan. Well, sometimes the plan overrides a lot of intuitive feelings. It overrides a lot of gut feelings. It overrides a lot of emotional feelings from that sacral chakra, the emotional realm, and that in-between state of knowing but not knowing, or having that sense from an unseen sensor. That's the other thing, is that this feeling comes from a place that is known and unknown all at once, and following that will lead you to the wish fulfilled. And Neville Goddard, I'll link one of his works in the description as well, where he talks about a client of his who her furniture was stolen, and he got her to imagine her place with the furniture still in it, and those sorts of things, and that she would get her furniture back. And then one day she just followed this feeling. Oh, she knew who stole the furniture. It was her maid or something, and she was imagining. And then one day she just had this feeling to follow, literally follow the feeling around this corner and across this road or something. And at the end, she saw the maid who had obviously done a runner, and she throttled her, well, not throttled her, but got her and was like, "Hey, where's my furniture? I'm taking you straight to the police." And she followed that feeling of just walking around the block and this way and that way for no reason other than to get to the end point and get to what she was hoping for and looking for in her life. So applying these two magical workings, which is what they are. It's that blind faith, that belief, and then also the intentional, conscious belief as well. Putting them together and knowing how to distort reality and play into Maya and the illusion, and then how to also play in the illusion and let it guide you unwaveringly through to what you desire. And it's that juxtaposition between the conscious and the unconscious. And although I essentially recommended a spell, an invisibility spell, it is that conscious belief that sets the boundary, the limitation, the expectation of how you are going to experience the world in that moment, in that day, and it changes your perception of that. It's now turned ordinary interactions into extraordinary interactions, and these special moments, instead of everything is just coming at me all at once, and I cannot understand what was valuable and unvaluable during my day. And who I should be paying attention to and who I shouldn't be paying attention to, and who's paying attention to me and why are they paying attention to me. It's just it really starts to narrow down these interactions, and then within that you can move freely in your desire to achieve your wish fulfilled, essentially. So this is kind of just a lesson on how to hide in plain sight or hide within a system that you find malevolent or unfavorable or damaging to you. And you can distort that reality. You can distort that that system. You must understand the rules in order to break them, and to use the higher laws on the lower laws. And if you haven't read the Kybalion or Franz Barden's Introduction into Hermetics, I highly recommend those two books in order to understand the natural laws, the universal laws, and the elementals, and then understand how to attune them and fine-tune them to your quest or to your benefit. And fine-tuning the elementals, I found, has given me a very big upper hand in many areas of my life, some subtle and some gross, and some experiences that I've had have just blown me away at how powerful belief actually is, and how it can penetrate this illusion, which in of itself is just belief. It's your perception, which is essentially your belief of what this is and what is around you and how you interact with it. I hope that cast made sense or resonated with you this week. And I just wanted to talk a little bit of Harry Potter and the workings behind what J.K. Rowling's trying to convey, and how you can apply those things that just seem too fantastical. It's Harry Potter. It's not real life. Well, it actually is real life, and she was presenting it in a fun way, and in a way that gets your imagination kind of going. And we all think about invisibility, and most of us would probably choose invisibility as our superpower, because we understand the benefits that being invisible can have. But none of us really take it that step further and go, well, I am invisible. Because, no one wants to be invisible, but you have to be specific about who and what you are invisible to, and how you're going to use that invisibility. And it is a belief. And like I said, they're very strong. Beliefs are very strong because imagination creates reality. So, I suppose that's my outro. That's the end. Let me know what you think, and I'll catch you in the next cast. Thanks for listening. Bye.